Hi all, welcome to part 10 module 5 computer networks. So the topic we were discussing is the DSCP protocol. So that is what we started. We given an overview of it in the part 9. So please watch it and continue with this video. So the dynamic configuration in DSCP is what we are going to see, something we already seen. So just we are summarizing it further. So before that, let's see the overall topic of discussion, that is the physical address to logical address conversion, right? So we will be giving the physical address of a given machine to someone, and he is supposed to do the logical address mapping, right? Logical address, particularly physical address like the Ethernet address 48-bit, logical address is 32-bit IP address. So who will do this mapping? So the first protocol we saw for that purpose, right, is the reverse ARP protocol. And hope you remember some of the highlights of reverse ARP. First of all, it is a network layer protocol. It's a network layer protocol. It's a network layer supporting protocol along with the IP protocol, right? Network layer protocol. And second one, it is doing reverse ARP. The request will be broadcasted, and what kind of broadcasting is done? The physical broadcasting in the sense the broadcasting done in the data link layer, right? So of course it can't cross a boundary, so we are supposed to have reverse ARP server is needed in every network. Server is needed per network. So that is a difficulty we are having. So we thought of changing it to a higher layer protocol, like particularly an application layer protocol, say the BOOTP protocol. So when BOOTP come into picture, what are all the changes happen? So now it is an application layer protocol, right? So we will definitely get some benefits when the protocol is running or in application layer. Application layer in the sense it can go through all the layers. Network layer means it can't have access to higher layers. So that difficulty we are having. Then of course here also we are doing the BOOTP request message will be broadcasted, and particularly what broadcasting? Now the broadcasting is in the network layer. So some kind of physical, here it is logical broadcasting. You can think in that way, or you can call it as a network layer broadcasting, right? Is done for the so now the another advantage we are having is the BOOTP server we can place in the BOOTP server can be placed in same network or different network, same network or different network, right? But if you look at this one, reverse ARP, the reverse ARP should be in server should be in the same server. Same network. That means every network we are supposed to have a reverse ARP server. But here, if you want, you can place the BOOTP server for a number of network together, maybe in a single place. So still it will work, but it will not work so. And if it is in a different network, we will be taking the help of someone called a relay agent, right? Relay agent. So relay agent will take it from that BOOTP request message will be taken by the relay agent, and it will be sent as a unicast message to actual BOOTP server that is being located in a different server, different network. So like that, many differences were there. Now we have the DSCP protocol, that is what we are discussing here. So what makes it special? First thing, just like a BOOTP, all those things are same for DSCP also. So let me take a different color for DSCP. So just like so if you look at DSCP, you can see that it's also an application layer protocol. It's also using logical broadcasting or the broadcasting in the network layer. So here we have a DSCP server instead of BOOTP server, and typically it is backward compatible, and that can be placed in same network or different network. If it is in a different network, still we have the relay agent. All those things are same. Now what is different for DSCP server is, so here the server machine configuration, configuring a machine with an IP address is done in a dynamic way. So here we have a dynamic configuration, right? Dynamic configuration. So then what about BOOTP? BOOTP allows only static configuration. But if you want, you can use DHCP server for static configuration also. So let me write it like a dynamic and static configuration. Both are there with the DHCP server. So if you want it to reply to a bootp, maybe sometimes the bootp client will be sending a request, and DHCP server may be replying back, because DHCP is backward compatible with the bootp, and that time it will be depending on the static table, and it can do it in a dynamic way also by using some pool of IP address, something we already seen. And second one, the configuration is done here. We can maintain, so how that static table is maintained, that is manually only, right? So there is only manual configuration of the particular table, but here we have both manual and automatic configuration, right? We already seen how these things are working. So just I thought of giving you a difference, so that now you are having a very good clarity about all those things. So why we have to learn all those things. So now let me add one more protocol here. So these three things, right, whether it is reverse ARP or bootp or DHCP, they are different from one another. And what is the difference we see? So they were all doing the same thing, that is physical address to logical address conversion. Now if the task is like a logical address to physical address conversion, right, logical address to physical address conversion, you can depend on someone called ARP for this. So ARP is just like a reverse ARP. It is a network layer protocol only. And you may be thinking why we don't have an application layer option for ARP, but it is not needed, right? It's something I already tried to explain in the previous slide also. Depending on demand and requirement, we are changing our thought process, like why don't we do it in an application layer protocol, so that things will work nicely. So in that way, so anyway, this reverse ARP is a obsolete protocol, so it is no longer used anywhere. But if you look at ARP, still it is used in the same way, and right now also. And this bootp and DHCP, again this DHCP is something that is trying to replace all the bootp everywhere, but still it is backward compatible. So currently we have both of them running. So somewhere still we have this bootp configuration, you can see, but gradually this DHCP is going to replace this bootp completely, because it's providing the same functionality but in a better way, right? That's all. So an introduction to bootp is something we already seen. Let me clear it and go through some more points. So with the DHCP, every network must have a DHCP server, just like bootp server, that is responsible for the configuration. So when a computer started, it has a built-in Ethernet address or a link layer address, definitely, that is embedded in the network layer, network interface card. So definitely from the network interface card, it will get its built-in Ethernet link layer address. But it don't know its IP address unless the IP address is permanently assigned. Means most of the case, if it's a diskless machine or it's something dynamically moving, say, from one network to another, in all those cases we are supposed to assign the IP address on demand, right, in a dynamic way. So much like address resolution protocol ARP, the computer broadcast. So this broadcasting is something that is happening in ARP, reverse ARP, bootp, DSP, everywhere. But the difference is in ARP and reverse ARP, this broadcasting is done in the data link layer, but in bootp and DHCP it is done in the network layer, right, higher layer. So the request will be broadcasted for an IP address. Why it is for IP address? Because it's happening in the network layer, right? So on its network, using so the type of message that is used to send the DHCP request message is having a specific name. It's called DHCP discover packet, right? So we are sending a special packet called DHCP discover packet. So these things I want to highlight, for that I added this also, DHCP discover packet. So if that server is not directly attached to the network, the router will be configured to receive a DHCP broadcast. Router is configured to receive in the sense that relay agent, actually the relay agent is supposed to take the DHCP broadcast request right, and it is supposed to relay it to the DHCP server exactly where it is located. But this is something we saw as relay agent in boot B when we explained boot B. But here also same thing, you can configure any machine as a relay agent, but if you are configuring a router itself as a relay agent, that is something more good, right? Because router other than the routing functionality, it can take care of this also. We are dedicating a very good functioning device as a router, right? So that is a way. Now when the server receives a request, it allocates a free IP address. So it will be having some pool of free address, from that one will be allocated, and that allocated, so how that reply will be communicated, that is by means of something called a DHCP offer packet. So here we have DHCP discover packet, so that is a DHCP request is coming as a DHCP discover packet, where DHCP reply is typically moving as a DHCP offer packet. So to be able to do this work, even when host do not have an IP address, the server identifies a host using the Ethernet address. So how that reply is communicated back, that is with the Ethernet address of that particular machine who asked this from where the DHCP request is coming. So which is so normally that Ethernet address of that other party will be knowing from the DHCP discover packet itself, right? Yeah, that's all. Now the leasing technique used in DHCP, something we already seen, more clarification I'm trying to give. So an issue that arises with automatic assignment of the IP address from the pool is how long an IP address should be allocated, right? So we already seen from a pool of free IP addresses, one will be allocated as per the requirement. So once you allocated, after how long, so you will be getting it back in the pool, or right, so to what duration you are going, because it's a temporary allotment only, so the time is something some time restrictions were needed. So if a host, if you are not giving any time restriction and all, what will happen, you know, if a host leaves a network, so temporarily whenever a host come to a particular network, we allocated it an IP, but if it leaves a network without informing you and it does not return any IP address back to the DHCP server, so the address will be permanently lost. So that is a huge loss, we are not ready to tolerate it, because as we have limited address, we are handling like this, but on the way someone taken that limited address and he is going with the address, so that is something we can't tolerate, right? So after a period of time, many addresses may be lost in this way. So if you allow this, right, more addresses may be lost. So to prevent this from happening, the IP address assignment may be happen for a fixed period of time, and that is what we call as leasing. So we are allocating that IP address, or we are leasing that particular IP address for a fixed period of time. So once that lease expires, right, or before the lease expires, the host must ask the DHCP renewal. So somehow the DHCP message is to be renewed. So if it fails to make a request, or the request is denied, the host may no longer use the IP address it given earlier. So it's up to the host who is providing it. If the sometimes the renewal may be accepted and it will be assigned in the same IP again, or some different IP, whatever it is. Sometimes it may be denied by the host also. So depends. So DHCP is if for more details you can refer the technical documentation, that is request for comments RFC 2131 or RFC 2132. In both you can see the documentation of DHCP. So it is widely used in the internet to configure all sorts of parameters in addition to providing. So what we've seen so far is the configuration of the IP address dynamically, but not only this IP address, you can use this DHCP to configure a number of different parameters like what we are seeing. So as well as in business and in home network, DHCP is used by most of the internet service providers to set the parameters of devices, of course, over the internet access, right? So that the customers do not need it to phone their internet service provider for those information. So simply you don't have to phone them and take the information. Automatically with the help of the DHCP protocol, they will configure everything to your machine in an automatic way. So the common examples of the information that is configured include, so other than IP address, you could see the network mask, the IP address of the default gateway, the IP address of the DNS server, the time server, everything can be configured with the help of the dynamic host configuration protocol, right? And you could see all those things in your machine. You can check it. Yes. So that's about the discussion on DHCP. Thanks for watching.